So entrepreneurship started quite young. I was a coder since I was a kid. Grew up in Australia. There wasn't much to do besides in the area that I was from, besides basically do stuff on like either gaming on computers or whatever. So the first thing I created was a small game. It wasn't that successful. It was more of an open source type of thing. And then I created I don't know if any of you guys were interested in WWF back in the days, but I created a WWF forum when I was 13. That was pretty popular. That was my first time understanding communities and also understanding how people work and seeing what it's like to have some sort of, we had like 5,000 active users. It's not much, but for someone who was 13 and just, I loved WWF at the time, and it was really cool to have that forum. So I learned a lot about what communities were like, what it was like to actually bring people together, and why people interact in the first place. By the time I got to university, I'd started studying mechanical engineering. And when I graduated, I quickly realized that it was a waste of time because I was just building apps again. Even throughout the whole of uni, I was just wasting my time there. So what does that have to do with Hopin? So right after university, in my first year of university, I built an app. I'd sold it for a tiny bit of money. It was it was a way for students to get discounts from the area. I learned a lot about entrepreneurship at that time. The biggest thing that I learned was hustle. Timing is a lot of. I learned it was hustle and timing. You can like kind of force timing, I think. I say that, but then Hopin is obviously a beneficial of that has the benefit of amazing timing. Obviously, from when we decided to launch the product, but there's a story there as well. So I'll start back. I'll stop going back and forth. And so when I was in university, I created this app. It was quite successful. I worked nonstop. It was a terrible idea, but because I hustled into getting a few students from the area to use it. I was outside, basically selling these. I don't know if you ever saw those discount cards, where if you bought a discount card, you can get a discount from local restaurants in the metropolitan area. So it was exactly that. Students could buy these student cards and get discounts from things in the metropolitan. And so it wasn't a good app. It wasn't even a smart idea, but it just ended up selling for a little bit of money because we had so many users on the platform or students on the platform, and someone wanted to buy the email list, which I think today would have been illegal. Now it's GDPR. So at the time, it may still be illegal that I did that. But that was what happened at the time. So I graduated from university and I got super duper sick. That's literally how I got to Hopin. I traveled to Asia and came back. I came back with food poisoning for about 24 hours. I was so sick, I couldn't leave my house, like literally so sick. So I started taking a bunch of antibiotics. And for about 6 to 9 months, I was wiped out, literally. I had wiped out my microbiome. I don't know if anyone here is into gut health and probiotics and all that sort of stuff. But I came out with allergies and multiple autoimmune diseases that I never had before. And the reason why that's important, I'm not just telling you my health woes, is because I wanted to, in those times where I was super sick, at home, I wanted to connect with people. It's something I used to love, going to events and meetups and conferences, and that's where I would like learn a lot and network with people and understand. It's how we as humans kind of assimilate together. So I wanted to do that from my house because I was so sick, and so what I ended up doing was creating this platform. For those of you guys who remember chat roulette, the initial Hopin was literally just like a chat roulette. So it was a chat roulette where one person could meet another. It was for Slack communities to network with each other. And by the end of it, by the time I first showed it to a Slack community, so there was a Slack community of indie hackers, which are bootstrappers. It was really popular. So I kind of knew it was going to be viral. I continued working on it. We raised some money in November. And then, I was lucky. So it's difficult because you guys tell me if you want to hear more about, because I guess 2009 was where really Hopin started to, 2019, sorry, is where in November 2019 is when Hopin started to really boom and blossom. And so from then on, there's too much for me to cover. But if there's something that you guys are interested in, like anything like how we got our first investment, to what it's been like to scale. We're 150 people now across the globe. So and we did that very, very fast. Anything like that, I think that would be a better way for me to go directionally. Otherwise, I'll just continue more overview, and it won't go as deep into anything. Cool. Thanks to Java and Pierre. So how did I get my first investment? So with Hopin. So I was very lucky. I was having this talk with someone else. If you're in San Francisco, you have the benefit of always having investors left, right, and center. If you have a decent idea or even a shit idea, you're likely to get some investment in San Francisco. London is one of the more mature cities, let's say, in Europe especially. There is availability of investors, but I still found it hard. I was attending so many events, and actually I attended a lot of meetups where they'd be like, you can meet an investor here, you pay $50 per ticket. There'd be like 600 entrepreneurs, and then there would be one investor, and sometimes no investor. And I would go there and spend like 3 hours, like, where's the investor here? I was meeting, I was like, oh, I must have missed them. And then I went to enough of those to realize, oh my God, there wasn't an investor here, and I forked out a lot of money. So by the time so how I actually met the first investor, though, I mean, I just wagged off some meetups and conferences, but I met my first investor at a conference. So I went to the CogX conference in London, and there was an investor there. And he wasn't the first person to put money. He was convinced about the product. I showed him the product. He was super excited. But he wasn't the one to actually invest. Investors work on warm intros. So if someone introduces you to an investor or an ex-founder or another investor introduces you to that investor, you're like 95% more likely to get investment from them. Like, really. And so I would say conferences like this, Upstart, are the best way to kind of meet these investors. So if you're not if it's an online event, meet them in matchmaking, send them a message, get them to answer, get them on a call. That's a great way. Or, meet someone in the matchmaking who's maybe an ex-founder who knows investors and ask them to intro you, because that's your best bet. I would say founders are a great way to meet investment. So I raised $150,000 from initial investment from a couple of angels and Seed Camp in London. It's also a good idea, even when they have those early stage VCs who specialize, even them, most of the investments they make are through warm intros. Very rarely do they answer if you just send them like, here's my pitch deck by email. They very rarely do they answer. So I hope that helps, Sujatha. In terms of Pierre, biggest challenge till now, by far, has been scaling the team. We went from 8 people in January to 150 people now. And that was really complex. I mean, it's very difficult to build your platform in that quickly and hire people that quickly without doing a lot of things wrong and making a lot of mistakes. So, for example, we hired so quickly that people didn't really know each other and get the chance to really bond. And so we had to compensate by doing a ton more of pushing internal networking, making sure people have that internal communication and get to know each other better. And so that was a huge challenge for us. Huge challenge was creating an amazing culture for a company while scaling this fast. And people had to learn on the job. We were literally throwing people into the deep end because there was so many things happening at the same time, especially in the early stages. Melvin, thanks for the question. How did you go about building your team in the early stages? So on that note, the first 4 people we hired were physical. We're in the same, the first 2 people we hired were in the same location as me, so I got to know them. I don't think that I needed to do that. We are now a 150-person completely remote business. If I was building my business today, again, I would build it completely remotely, the team. Because you don't need, as much as it's nice to have those people around you, okay, I would say there's a benefit of being remote. The actual efficiency of the team is probably better, and you get to know, you get to basically, you get people are happier in their comfort zones, and also that are more flexible, because they're more adaptable. There's and you get more things done just in general, I think, by being a remote company, because people, they may want to do yoga in the morning and then work from 10 to 6, and who cares? Because that's the benefits of remote. They don't need to come to the office, and not everyone needs to be there at the same time. So it's been beneficial. So Samir is asking, what do you think are the next steps for Hopin platform as far as engagement? Oh, there's a ton. So we're improving so in this event, it's called the matchmaking area. We call it the networking area. We're improving that significantly. So we want, Samir, for example, you to be able to directly meet. So if this was an event where you wanted to meet, for example, other like-minded people in, for example, AI, we want you to be able to quickly go into the people tab, check who those people are, see who's online and with you or watching something with you, and be able to directly interact, directly get into a video call with them. We want people to be able to break out from area to area. And even in the talks, we're not going to do the basic reaction with love hearts and all that sort of stuff, because we don't think that brings real value. I mean, you guys are at this event. I suspect most people coming to the event, one, you want to download some good content in your brain, which is always great. I mean, that's what I loved about conferences. And the other half is, the connections you make. So if we, from the engagement perspective, there's no point there's no point when you come to this room. Right now, you can't see who else is here. You can't see who else is online, and you can't see. You can only see who's in the chat. We want to know. So if Melvin and Samir, if you guys both knew each other, or we want you both to know you're in the same session together, so maybe you can catch up. Or if there was like 3 venture capitalists watching my talk at the moment, which there could be, we want everyone else to be able to say, hey, there's these 3 venture capitalists watching this with us at the moment. Let me send them a message and make it more clear that they're getting that message, and making sure the engagement, just like real life, it's like, oh, there's someone sitting next to me, and you know who they are, you can kind of figure it out and ask them a question. Same thing over here. So we want to increase the engagement significantly, and also with in the stage with a different type of reaction, audio reaction. So yeah. I hope that's helped, Samir. And so Jovan's asking, are you looking at adding in a dedicated and moderated Q&A feature? And yeah, yes, we are. We are. So that's a definite one for us. We'll definitely be adding that. Joaquim's saying it's nice to start with a chat invite rather than going video directly. That's a good point. I don't like, yeah. It's a good art. Like I don't know, because the video allows you to get a little bit deeper of a connection than chat, and also I mean that's why we focus on it, because the whole point is that everyone wants to be live. Or else this event is not useful. If not everybody is here at the same time, and let's say this was a 1-year event, then it wouldn't make sense, because then like nobody's there at the same time, and so you're sending like asynchronous chat. That's why we focus on video. But yeah, I also sometimes enjoy the chat invite more than going to direct to video, especially if you don't know if you want to meet that person. Yeah. So Jonathan, once the pandemic is over, what is your vision for the world of online meetings? I think that everything's going to go hybrid. So I don't know. I'm living in London now, and there's so many offices that have, or companies that I know of, that are also in London that have kind of just said, hey, even whether or not pandemic is over, we're going to be remote first. So online meetings is going to be huge. The argument that I think Hopin will, as a platform, I can tell you on our side, we think that video and meetings can be done better online. So I know most people use Zoom nowadays. Potentially we'll be moving into that space soon with a really good product. I hope that people like. But for now, we're very much focused on events. I hope you guys have liked the platform and are enjoying this event more than any other virtual event you've attended. but we're at the moment focusing really on virtual events as a platform. Joachim, true, you don't pass a note in the bar. Exactly. Yeah, that's so true. And thanks a lot for saying great platform. Would you be working on AR or mixed reality? I think so. So part of Hopin, like we call it, the next version of Hopin will be a very, very integratable platform. So right now, everything in here is kind of built by Hopin. At some point, we want to be able to plug in things. So if an AR company wanted to integrate with Hopin and have this be a virtual game room, let's say pool table where we're all in AR, they'd be able to integrate it with Hopin. We're already working in integrations now with like a lot of you guys may know if you're in the event industry, like live transcription services, so that people can see exactly live translation of what's happening. Like we're going to be more and more going into the integration zone. We want a session to be anything. We want this to be able to be a Zoom call if you want as well. So if this session was Zoom, or even a game room, whatever it is, we're open to it to being like that. And thank you so much, Alf. And thanks for watching me speak. It is the one thing about online events, and maybe it'd be cool if at some point, with more people and we just brought people on, which I wouldn't mind. Is that it is difficult talking to yourself because you kind of feel like you're talking to yourself. There's no like audience to look at, but I can see the chat, so that's what I just focus on. Syed, so Peter, who would you say are Hopin's main competitors at the moment? Probably Zoom. I would say if you talk about like who takes more revenue from us, 100%, I would say Zoom. Zoom takes Zoom. Like most people either choose Hopin or Zoom if they're doing a virtual event. But going forward, potentially it could be more. I mean, if Eventbrite had a good virtual event platform, then they would be, because they already have a big market. But I don't know, they're not really a software company, like in terms of like doing, virtual tech and stuff like that. But who knows? Perhaps. Yeah, Natalie, totally agree. It's the one thing that we're working on now. It's like, how do I and you, like whoever's talking, get a reaction live from people other than chat? I mean, chat's good, but there's got to be a way to like tune in, like click audience mode, and therefore I can see you in at least your reactions and stuff like that. Like we're really looking into that. And also we're looking into clapping. Like if I'm clapping behind my screen, is there a way to put a non-really ugly clapping sound on the screen, but something kind of cool? Oh, it's such an exciting. I mean, I'm really grateful to be working on Hopin. I'm grateful that great events like this are on Hopin. But I get asked for a ticket style breakout room. For example, seeing if guest number one now and number. How does that work? I get asked for it. I get asked a lot for tickets. Gotcha. Yeah. That is a really smart idea, and especially for like live. Like we had a suggestion because there's a lot of celebrities that want to do like, okay, you can pay $5 and I'll give you 5 minutes, and so it like ends up queuing people inside the event that's hosted on Hopin, so like the session can allow people to come in one by one for like 5 minutes. I think that would be super cool, and we get that request a lot, so it's something we're really looking into, to be honest. So yeah. Is there any other? I know I've went over by 4 minutes. Is there any other questions that anyone has, or anything else that anyone wants to know? Samir, do you think Keystone, On24, Cvent platforms are your potential competitors? Definitely Cvent could be. They aren't really going into the virtual. The world's going to move more hybrid, and it's up to us. They probably see us as potentially competing. Like if we build a very good ticketing system, then we would. then we would be a competitor to Cvent, but we aren't focused so much on ticketing. So like we let people use their own ticketing platforms and integrate it with Hopin at the moment. On 24 wise, potentially they see us as a competitor, but we don't see webinars really as competitors, because on 24 is more just like, it's like the lobby feature here. It's just a stage where you have someone calling, where we focus a lot more on the networking and all the other features around it, or the things around an event. So, and I don't know what Keystone is, but I'll Google them after this.